My name's Hugh Karp. I'm the founder of Nexus Mutual. I'm just going to give you a bit of an insight into what's coming up with Nexus V2 and what we're working on right now. But just thought I'd just give it a little bit of background on Nexus for those that aren't quite as familiar. So I guess we were one of the first decentralized kind of insurance protocols on mainnet. We launched in May 2019, so that's quite a long time ago in crypto world where everything moves quite fast. But we also presented at the first D1 conference in Cancun in 2017. So great to be back actually presenting Nexus again here. In terms of what we've done, we've launched an on-chain mutual, an alternative to insurance. Basically, people pool their capital together. They decide as a group how to price risk. They decide as a group which claims are valid, and they also decide as a group how to invest the float or the assets of the mutual. And so that's what we've got right now. So we've got a structure that does that. In terms of product, I think at a very high level, our product that we're providing right now, we've had a lot of success with, is essentially protected yield within the DeFi ecosystem. So what you can do is, you put your assets into a compound or an Aave or a Uniswap or whatever, and you earn some yield on that, and then you can come to Nexus and buy protection against the smart contract risk or the technical failure of those systems. And so we've had a really good success with that. We've written quite a lot of covers. We've got roughly about 500 million of cover outstanding at the moment, and like the most popular ones are kind of like Anchor and Curve and Convex and those types of things. So we've got a lot of success within the DeFi ecosystem. And I think I'd describe Nexus at its current stage. It's got capital. It's a functioning system. It's paid out claims. We've got product market fit within a crypto niche, and now what we're trying to do with Nexus V2 from a, I guess, higher level point of view is enable the distribution network. So right now people basically come to Nexus and buy cover after they've gone and done whatever they've wanted to do, put money in Curve or whatever, and then they come and buy cover. But we all know that insurance is sold and not bought, and the more frictionless you can make that process, the much better off it's going to be. So Nexus V2 is all about laying that platform to enable the distribution network to be built on top of the Nexus protocol. It also lays the foundation for Nexus to really get outside of the crypto world. So at the moment, we just offer coverage for crypto-related risks, basically because they're our user base and that's what they want coverage for. But we're also, the whole platform is much more generalized than that, and it is going to enable other non-crypto risks in the future. So Nexus V2 is really about creating that on-chain marketplace for risk. It's the next iteration of the protocol, and it does quite a lot of things. I won't focus on, there's a whole bunch of like really nice user aspects to it as well. So we're going to make the claims assessment process much more gas efficient, much more scalable, much easier to use. There's going to be representing cover natively as an NFT, so you can move it around different wallets and all that type of thing. And also you're going to be able to like do all those things that you expect to be able to do with an insurance policy, like change the amount, edit it, increase it, decrease it, extend it, renew it, all that type of stuff. So I'm not going to talk too much about that stuff. I'm more going to be talking about the kind of strategic capabilities that it's going to allow, and more focused on the distribution side of things. So at the end of the day, what we're really trying to do here is create a marketplace for risk. At the moment, when we want to determine the price of something on Nexus, someone stakes some NXM against that, and then more people that stake lower the price and more capacity. And so it kind of creates like a prediction market-esque type of approach to pricing. What we're going to do is kind of move away from that and have what we're calling syndicates, which also could be for those in like MGAs or things like that, a bit more familiar with the insurance world, where those syndicates actually offer risk or offer prices on particular risks that they feel comfortable with, and they get to choose what the prices are. And so within Nexus, we can have Syndicate 1 saying, oh, I'll price compound at 1.5%, and Syndicate 2 saying, oh, I'm only comfortable with 2%. And so then when someone buys cover, they essentially could buy it from the cheapest syndicate. So it creates that marketplace within Nexus. So I guess stepping back, what the closest analogy to what Nexus is moving towards is Lloyd's. And there's actually a lot more similarities and differences about what the model we're moving to with V2 is to Lloyd's. But I'll just kind of highlight just the general structure. And if anyone out there are particular Lloyd's experts, please correct me if I've got anything wrong. So in general, with Lloyd's, they have different syndicates within there that bring their own capital, usually backed by traditionally the names, and they're kind of like smallish teams that usually specialise in particular business lines or have a particular focus. They're experts in those business lines, and so they bring their own capital, they bring their own underwriting expertise, they bring their own claims, and so they kind of operate as like a small insurance company in their own right. But they are linked across Lloyd's more broadly. And so they're only really linked if there are big problems and they blow through their own capital and they need support and they can't meet their claims. And that's when the Lloyd's as a whole kind of comes in and effectively there is a linking from a risk perspective. So each syndicate is linked to each other through this grouping. And to make sure that all of those syndicates do good stuff and not bad stuff. You have essentially the centralised functions that make sure that the business plans of each syndicate get approved each year, what they can write, how it's going to work, what risks they can take on, what capital they can release, all that type of stuff. And so there's this centralised layer of Lloyd's, which is kind of like the risk management functions to make sure it all kind of works, etc. So with Nexus V2, it's actually, there's a lot of similarities here. We're just highlighting the differences with these slides. And so each syndicate can effectively price their own risk. They bring their own capital. They have to buy, they have to get NXM to actually stake and signal risk. But there is one capital pool that sits across all the syndicates rather than individual pools. So there's a lot more kind of linking there compared to the Lloyd's model. The other main difference is that the sorry, I lost what I was going to say. The other main difference is with that centralised governance risk management approach. Basically, what we are trying to do with Nexus is remove that as much as possible. Some of the stuff's very hard to remove, but like managing correlation risks across different syndicates. But we are trying to remove that as much as possible and let the smart contracts drive it. And so that's all kind of automated. All the reporting's automated. Excuse me. Is there water or something? Someone grab me a water, that'd be great. So yeah, all the reporting's automated, everything's all driven by the smart contracts and the limits are there. Thank you. So the limits are all in the smart contracts. So what we're trying to do is let these syndicates be as autonomous as possible and be able to write their own business, price their own risk, even create their own products. So what this is really doing is shifting Nexus from a kind of full stack insurer, as it were, to a platform layer where anyone can kind of build on top and white label their own coverage. And in that case, you're kind of managing your own underwriting capital, deciding where to deploy it, on which risks, which products. You're setting minimum pricing that you're willing to accept. You can expand the distribution, and there's the capability to, I guess, benefit from greater economic incentives because there's also going to be a capability to add on commissions, etc., as you wish. And so there's a little bit more detail here to kind of go through it, but there's a lot more flexibility. One kind of I guess specific, I'll give you two kind of examples of how this might work. Right now, where a kind of simplified syndicate might be someone who is a risk expert in smart contract risk. And so they just come on, they can set up their own syndicate, and what that actually is just a function call on Ethereum, set up syndicate, one transaction, there you go, you've got it. And then you can define which, how you want to allocate your capital, how you want to say, I want to stake 10 NXM against Compound, 20 against Curve, 30 against Uniswap, whatever, and I'll offer prices of X, Y, and Z against each of those. And then if someone buys a cover from your syndicate, then you're responsible. You get all the rewards from a kind of premium point of view, and you're also liable for the claims if they come through. So that's kind of how it works as a simplified version. If you have those risk expertise, you can deploy them as you wish on the products that already exist. Something more kind of full or complete at the other end of the spectrum would be something like a syndicate that has risk expertise, but also has a distribution channel. They have a customer base, in which case they effectively can white label Nexus coverage, add on commissions in there, and just add a simple one-click purchase. Say they're a protocol, say they're a Curve or something like that. They can add on a buy cover here once you've deployed assets into one of the liquidity pools. Add on the cover purchase, and it directs the cover purchase to your syndicate only, and then you can get commission in there. So you've kind of got this distribution power and economic incentives, leaning back into that insurance is sold, not bought aspect of things. In the future, so from the syndicate operator point of view, you've got additional revenue. You've also got from the commissions, but there's also the capability to effectively, each of these syndicates is a delegated staking pool. So as an expert, I can run a staking pool, decide where to stake, and other people can passively delegate to me their NXM, and then there's a reward share in there that the syndicate operator can choose between different levels. And so the syndicate operator is effectively using their expertise to monetize them, and the people with more capital that don't necessarily have the time or the expertise to do that can effectively delegate that to the experts. And so you can offer those products, and so you can earn from the delegated staking rewards and from the commission revenue that come through the sales as well. And I guess from a big point of view is, like, if you're looking to kind of start up a new product or a new distribution channel or something like that, you could actually build on top of Nexus rather than bootstrapping your own capital pool here. So that's kind of an easier way to get started. One of the things that I'm particularly excited about is in the future is the kind of where we can take this. So at the moment, Nexus just looks at crypto risks. But at the end of the day, the Nexus V2 structure and the whole platform is effectively generalized. And you could actually describe it as reinsurance as a service. It's a fully open API-driven reinsurance company, and if someone wants underwriting capital for a particular product or a particular distribution channel that they have, they want to set up their own MGA or their own syndicate or whatever, they can call into Nexus and just write their own business. They could write their own product. They could, if they got their own claims team, etc. So this can be a platform for other insurtechs to build on top of. There are challenges with bridging fiat to crypto and regulation and all those types of things, but there are solutions for those. But the whole idea with Nexus is we're turning from a full stack insurer, and this will be a slow change over time, but turning from that full stack insurer into a more flat protocol, into that reinsurance layer. There's a whole bunch of other, and this is where we can get into real world risks and actually start making a difference. I think we've done a fantastic job, and we continue to do a fantastic job within the crypto world, and there's so much upside there. But I also believe that, for crypto to really make a difference, like we've all been talking about, we need to get outside and we need to offer those risks on real world products. The other main aspect, and coming back to the Lloyd's point, is that Lloyd's has been around for a long time. But one of the things that it really works well at is it delegates the expertise to the edges. It has the decentralized nature. A lot of it is actually in that way. It puts the people that know the risk the best right at the coalface, and it lets them make the decisions. It delegates to them. So it allows, and that's one of the reasons it still remains so competitive, even though it's absolutely horrible from a admin point of view and modernising and everything. People still walk around with paper. You go to central London and you can just see them, and you can just physically go to the desk and stuff. It's archaic in some ways, but the fundamentals are very, very strong. And what we're trying to do here is emulate that approach, but with a full automated tech stack already there. We want to delegate to the nodes, delegate to the outsides, the decentralized model. We believe that's where the best decisions will get made, the people closest to the understanding, the experts. And so that's really the approach we're building on here, is delegate to the experts and decentralize it, and essentially turn Nexus into that platform that anyone can build products on top of. So yeah, that's a quick look into Nexus V2. You'll be hearing more about it over the coming months as we get to launch. And yeah, really excited and looking forward to getting it out there. Yeah, happy to take questions if you've got any. Yep.
You talk about the economic relationship between the different syndicates and the Nexus V2 version.
So the economic relationship between the different syndicates and V2. So there is one capital pool that it's all shared, and so all claims and all premiums effectively go into that capital pool. So there is a direct link. Each syndicate effectively uses NXM as a signal to identify which risks are good and that they want to back, and they earn NXM when people buy cover, and they lose it to pay to offset the claim payments as an incentive mechanism. So it's basically a shared capital pool with an incentive structure on top to write good business. So there is direct link. There is a closer link than there is in the Lloyd's model, where they're actually quite separate, except in extreme circumstances.
How does the claims handling work for a particular?
So the claims handling, all members can vote on all claims. That's how it works. The way we expect it to evolve.
How do you see that when you have very specialized business, you're a syndicate, you're very specialized, and then suddenly you get people who are not specialized on a particular topic are going to do claims handling?
Yeah, so they can do it. We don't expect them to. So the system doesn't stop them, but they'll get punished heavily if they vote in the wrong ways. So the way it works is, we're seeing this already. Basically, we have an open system where any member can vote on claims, but the number of people that do vote on claims are the experts. They've self-selected. And so we don't stop it, because everything should be members' ultimate discretion about which claims get paid. But the way it will functionally work is people will self-select, and syndicates, especially ones that are writing niche product lines, they will do the majority of their claims handling themselves. But there's always power to the entire membership base to effectively come in and vote one way or another if they wish to, noting that there are punishments and incentive mechanisms to make sure that they do that in the right way. Yep.
Who do you think as the powerful syndicate operators in consideration to democratize this kind of system, like operations?
Sorry, I didn't quite get the question.
As a major candidate for syndicate operators when you think about democratizing this kind of business model in the world?
So who do I think are going to be the syndicate operators?
Yes, strong syndicate operators to,
Yep. Yeah, so I mean, initially we believe the syndicate operators are going to have one of two things to start with, at least one, possibly both. One is expertise on the risk management side of things, underwriting. And we see kind of like, particularly the products we're writing, like audit firms and those types of things are going to have those expertise. We see that as an opportunity to kind of create another revenue stream for them. And the second one is perhaps a distribution channel. They're an existing product, a DeFi product, and they can add on a one-click coverage, and then they can divert some commission revenue to their DAO treasury or something like that. So we believe that the initial syndicates are going to form one of those two types of groups, and they have one of those two groups of expertise. And I think the more successful ones are going to have both of those sets of expertise. Cool. Tobias?
The reason why you're presenting this here and together at the conference, is there anything that you want to do together in the future with the Icarus project, or are there different models that can't be combined?
I hadn't particularly thought about specifically with ETH or not, but I think more generally, if this model works, we have a capital pool that a whole bunch of people can tap into. And perhaps that works for some projects that ETH are doing. Perhaps it doesn't make sense, not sure, but it's an option that's out there that anyone will be able to tap into. Cool. Yeah.
Is it possible from a regulatory standpoint to sell then insurance products to all kind of countries via this mechanism? Or so you have to, whenever it's called insurance, you have the national insurance laws that apply.
Yeah, so specifically Nexus Mutual is not insurance, and it's discretionary cover, and so that is what it is. And I think the regulatory environment is definitely, it's unclear. We are where we are right now. Discretionary cover does exist in a whole bunch of places, and that's what Nexus operates with. Now that, can a syndicate operator, that's one of the choices that you want to make. Like as a syndicate operator, are you okay selling that type of product? Are you complying? Are you doing all the right stuff there? That's definitely a question. I think there are definitely, on the other side of things, there are definitely models involved that you can effectively get Nexus coverage and convert it into a regulated insurance contract. You have to put different entities in places and all the rest of it, but those types of things can and are being explored. And so I think in general, DeFi is obviously in a bit of a grey zone with a whole bunch of these types of things. The regulation is very local, DeFi is very global. How do you fit these things together on a permissionless basis? There's a whole bunch of questions, but I do believe there are solutions, and I believe the benefits of DeFi and the way that it deals with the fundamental regulatory principles that are there is very powerful. You've got transparency, you've got full transparency, you've got there's no asymmetry of information, and if you do DeFi properly, there's no agency risk, and those are the two things. That's why you regulate. And so if we can solve the principles of regulation in a different way, then actually trying to achieve the same objectives just with better technology, then I think that can take us a long way. Yes, we have to tick the boxes, we have to go through the processes, and yeah, those things will be done, and different syndicate operators can do that. Cool. Thank you, everyone.